Hi, this is Daria Reynolds, and the story that I'm gonna pick to talk about today is the Goodbye Fears Monster one, and discussing how virtue ethics applies to it. I think between the two that you had us read, this one seems like the most unethical to me, and I feel like it's the one that I really want to dive more into than the Facebook, because yes, it is a big deal, and I think Facebook should address the issue, but this is more the company doing an unethical thing than the Facebook just trying to get rid of the videos and fake news that they put on their site. So with the Goodbye Fears Monster, I picked the virtue ethics because I think that this one plays a pretty big role in maybe why they decided to sell these kinds of toys. So to begin, virtue ethics, they're based to emphasize the role of character and virtue in moral philosophy rather than like just focusing on one's duty or acting in order to bring about good consequences. So it really de-emphasizes like rules, consequences, and particular acts and places more of the focus on the kind of person or the kind of like how you're going to perceive the company and like thinking they're good or virtuous is pretty much the main point of it. But the importance of this one is whether the person who is acting is expressing good character and not necessarily the kind of consequences that come with what they're doing. So the belief is that if you have a virtuous character, you'll lead to virtuous decisions. So then it kind of promotes your character to everyone else, and maybe once consumers see that you're a good company and stuff, they'll be more likely to buy your products, which will and give you profit. So a big issue with this one, though, is exactly what is right, because some say we could determine based off asking a virtuous or a happy person, but then that's going to say that in order to be virtuous, you have to be happy. In order to be happy, you have to be virtuous. And it's not really that. So it's kind of determined that everyone kind of comes up with their own way of how to come up with what is right. It's just based on what you think personally. So whenever you look at the Goodbye Fears Monster, so basically like what you press the button and a child is supposed to express their fears, and with saying it will, and like in return it will reply and say that it'll eat them all and do you have any more? Which I think honestly that's a great idea. Like that is kind of cool. Like because when you're little, like you kind of believe things like that. Like okay, it's all gone. I don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't have to worry about waking mom and dad up anymore. And I mean, that's kind of settling because your imagination as a kid, like you kind of believe it and stuff like that. And I mean, you are believing in things a lot that aren't real. So these fears that you feel could just be taken away easily. I think the fact that it records is kind of where it gets a little unethical. Like, if the parents want to see it, I think that could be a good thing. So then they can kind of hear what their children are going through, maybe what they're afraid of. So maybe the recording could be used for that. But the fact that they're also sending it to child research or psychology researchers, I feel like that's where it kind of pushes the limit of being a little unethical, because I think that the company's not thinking of the consequences at all. Like, they want to give a good reputation. Like, they're giving them free to children in the homeless shelters, which is awesome because something like that could really be beneficial to them. But, and that's promoting their character a lot. But the fact that these are being sent to, like, those psychology researchers, and I'm sure you probably don't have an option to not have that happen. I feel like that's just getting way too into someone's like privacy, because you never know what these kids are going to tell these monsters, whether it's true or not, and this could lead to other things that I just feel like you don't want to open the door to. And I don't think the company's completely like thought about that, and maybe they're trying to mask that with the whole giving it free to homeless people. I don't know, but I feel like that's where it's pushing the line a little bit. So if I was them, maybe I would back off of the recording part and maybe just have it speak to them, or I would just make it to where it doesn't go to those psychology people too. But that's it.